Taiwan's military is giving out a new handbook telling civilians what to do if a war breaks out.
本手册为推广有准备更安全的行动理念，提供民众对威胁的认知以及相关应变资讯等重要的安全指引。
Taiwan's economy minister says the government may not be able to hit its renewable energy goals next year.
本次会谈，双方围绕 TikTok 及中方有关关切，进行了坦诚、深入的交流。
Very good discussions. We preferred to keep the discussions on TikTok.
American and Chinese officials meet to talk trade in Madrid, but discussions focus instead on its social media app. Plus, a fact-checking group tells TaiwanPlus how AI images were used to spread information about Taiwan's recent recall election. Welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yvonne Yang. Taiwan is preparing its people for a potential conflict with China, and as part of this, the military hopes a new handbook will be the go-to guide. Alan Liu has more.
What would you do if war broke out? A new civil defense handbook wrote out by Taiwan's military hopes to provide the answers.
本手册为推广有准备更安全的行动理念，提供民众对威胁的认知以及相关应变资讯等重要的安全指引。
Taiwan has published similar handbooks in the past, aimed at preparing the public for war. But the latest one shifts the focus to building resilience across society as a whole, while also providing guidance on natural disasters as well. Something some residents say is essential.
我觉得他有考虑到战争跟一些避难工具的一些必要性。那我觉得基本就够了，因为逃难是带最基本的东西去逃嘛。那可是如果平常没有这样的知识输入的话，你可能不知道危急来的时候要怎么去应变。
在天灾这方面啊，地震什么的，我觉得我们台湾教育做得非常的好。但是我觉得像是战争，像我就不知道我家防空洞附近的防空洞在哪里，对，完全没有这种资讯啊。但我觉得可以考虑列入教育的范围里面啊。
The handbook also highlights the need to spot misinformation, warning that Chinese-owned apps like DeepSeek and TikTok could put personal data and privacy at risk, information that could be weaponized in wartime. It also warns that in the event of a military invasion, any claim that the government has surrendered or that Taiwan has been defeated is false. But to some Taiwanese people, the definition of surrender can be controversial.
你投降的定义就很多嘛，那其实大家一般民众只是为了保命而已啊，大家都不想要战争，对，所以你说投降是怎么样的投降，这很难讲。
The government plans to distribute an initial 5,000 copies at 3 supermarket chains across Taiwan. An online version will also be available. While Taiwan hopes conflicts never comes, the handbook is a reminder that readiness begins with a plan if it does. Ethan Chen and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan drove away 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships on Monday that illegally entered the waters around Taiwan's Jinmen Islands.
您未经许可进入我方水域，您的行动已影响我国海域秩序及安全，请立即转向，尽速离开我方水域，否则我船将依法采取必要行动。
The 4 Chinese vessels switched off their identification system and sailed into waters around Jinmen until they were escorted away by Taiwan's Coast Guard. Taiwan has reported an increasing number of Chinese Coast Guard vessels near its offshore islands, with more than 80 spotted near Jinmen since last February. Taiwan's Coast Guard says it's part of China's gray zone tactics and that it will step up monitoring of Chinese movements in its waters. Taiwan's economy minister says a goal of getting 20% of energy from renewables by 2026 may be difficult to reach.
今年来讲，应该可以达到15%以上左右，占到我们整个发电量的部分啊。那所以到明年年底的时候，我们还是希望积极的。当然有很大的挑战性，我知道，但是我们目标还是 看能不能积极的把这个发电的比例可以把它提高来
In his first media briefing as economy minister, Gong Mingxin laid out plans to speed up solar and wind projects and said green energy remains a top priority. His comments come after Taiwan shut down its last nuclear reactor in May, a move that's prompted concerns about the stability of the nation's power supply. Taiwan's Nuclear Safety Commission has confirmed they are looking to invest in small modular reactors, part of a 4-year plan to research and develop the technology. And to find out how these smaller nuclear reactors could reshape Taiwan's energy supply, our reporter Irene Ling spoke with Professor Ye Zongguang from the National Tsinghua University.
Professor, what are some benefits and shortcomings of smaller modular reactors, or SMR, or micro modular reactors, or MMR?
If these reactors encounter accidents such as loss of coolant accidents, the cores of these reactors can be cooled down by just air. So air circulation will be able to cool down the reactor. SMRs or MMRs are very appropriate for local electrical demand. For example, TSMC. For each fab, they can have one small modular reactor with 300 megawatt output to be the electricity source of the fab. Okay, the benefits are it would not have to rely upon the grid provided by Taiwan Power Company. And plus, like you said, they are modular units. So if you do need larger power, you can connect all these, for example, 3 modules. The only shortcoming for SMR is the cost for each kilowatt hour electricity would be more expensive than the electricity provided by large nuclear power plant because it's small.
What are some challenges that these companies in Taiwan would face if they want to adopt SMR or MMR?
Nuclear Safety Commission, they do not have the experience of reviewing the installation of small modular reactors. Second, according to the current Electricity Act, nuclear power facilities can only be operated by nation-owned company. If SMR is going to be imported into Taiwan and to be adopted by local industry, the Electricity Act must be revised. And I know the legislative yuan is going to evaluate this revision of Electricity Act pretty soon because they all think SMR might be appropriate for future application of nuclear energy in Taiwan.
What about nuclear waste or spent fuel left behind? How does SMR or MMR deal with that?
If we go for a fast breeder reactor with SMRs, for example, they would consume the spent nuclear fuel from traditional nuclear power plant. Okay, so it would effectively reduce the amount of spent nuclear fuel in the current nuclear power plants, and itself would also breed more fissionable nuclear fuel by itself. According to the estimation, and this high-level waste will be less than 25% of that produced in large nuclear power plants.
Is it possible for Taiwan to build these units domestically?
Yes, we do have the ability of building these reactors, but the problem is the procurement of nuclear fuel. Okay, Taiwan cannot purchase nuclear fuel directly to all the suppliers around the world. We must obtain nuclear fuel with the help of United States.
That was Ye Zongguang from National Tsinghua University. The number of Taiwanese workers with reduced hours has nearly doubled since September 1st, largely due to U.S. tariffs. Taiwan's Labor Ministry says over 6,000 Taiwanese workers are now on reduced hours or furlough after tariffs hit demand. It says 80% of the over 300 firms it surveyed cited U.S. tariffs as the reason for cutting hours, with manufacturers hit hardest. Officials said most of those affected would qualify for a government wage subsidy. 20% U.S. tariffs on most Taiwanese goods took effect on August 7th. The U.S. and China look set to extend a pause in their trade war and transfer TikTok to U.S. ownership. The result comes after 2 days of talks in Spain and ahead of a call between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday. John Van Trieste reports.
Motorcades of Chinese and U.S. officials leave Spain's foreign ministry. It's the second day of talks here aimed at easing strained trade ties between the world's two biggest economies. And there are hints a sort of truce in the U.S.-China trade war could hold for now, with the U.S. postponing tariffs on China and China no longer blocking the flow of rare earths to the U.S.
As you know, right now we have a 90-day pause in effect with respect to U.S. tariffs on China and Chinese severe controls on rare earth minerals. We have been renewing that pause periodically. The current pause is set to expire November 10th. We're certainly open to considering further action there if the talks continue in a positive direction.
And there are signs a major point of friction between the two could get resolved. That is TikTok, the Chinese-owned app whose popularity in the U.S. has raised national security concerns in Washington. Both sides say they've started looking at transferring the app to U.S. ownership.
本次会谈，双方围绕 TikTok 及中方有关关切，进行了坦诚深入的交流，就以合作方式妥善解决 TikTok 相关问题，减少投资障碍，促进有关经贸合作等，达成了基本框架共识。
U.S. President Donald Trump is pleased, saying the talks have gone very well and that there's a deal on what he called a, quote, certain company young Americans had wanted saved. It all now rides on a scheduled call with China's President Xi Jinping on Friday. There are still sore points on both sides that could complicate talks. The United States is unhappy about Beijing's announcement Monday that U.S. chipmaker NVIDIA had violated antitrust laws, a move some in Washington see as hitting back at U.S. measures to rein in China's chip sector. And China says the U.S. is using national security concerns as a pretext for curbing chip and other tech shipments to China and banning Chinese goods it suspects could be used for spying. Still, the two sides have held meetings since May to try and patch up differences, and more could be on the way.
We had very good discussions. We preferred to keep the discussions on TikTok. We will be holding trade negotiations in about a month again at a different location. But we talked about many things that we might do in the future.
Opening up a chance to cool down a months-long trade war that sent jitters through markets around the world. Delphine Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. chip maker NVIDIA says it will comply with the law in all respects after China's market regulator said the company violated antitrust rules. In a statement, a company spokesperson also said the firm will continue to cooperate with all relevant government agencies as they evaluate the impact of export controls on competition in the commercial markets. China's antitrust ruling on Monday did not give details, but said the violations stem from NVIDIA's 2020 acquisition of network supplier Mellanox. No fines or other measures have been announced. And for more on what the NVIDIA antitrust decision means for the firm's China business and U.S.-China trade talks, reporter Chris Gorin spoke with Xiaomeng Lu, Director of Geotechnology at Eurasia Group.
China's preliminary antitrust probe found that NVIDIA had violated anti-monopoly laws in connection with its acquisition of the firm Mellanox. But this is coming from the same Chinese regulatory body that approved that same acquisition back in 2020. So what's changed?
I think this one in particular, if you look at the timing, the announcement was made on the eve of the Madrid trade talk between the U.S. and China. I think the timing suggested this is not incidental. This is a well-designed action to send a political message that China wants to use this type of maneuver to create leverage in the trade negotiation that happened in the past 2 days.
There's been a lot of politics around NVIDIA's business in China coming from both Beijing and Washington. How do you see this latest move? Is this just more political noise for NVIDIA to tune out, or is this a real potential threat for them?
I wouldn't think this is noise. I think this is a serious challenge they should react to. When Jensen Huang went to China last time, he praised the domestic champions. He talked about how deep the research talent pool is in China. This country, this market has great potential for NVIDIA, and he needs to be there. This type of antitrust challenge is not unprecedented. Many Western U.S. technology companies have run into this type of obstacles before. Like Microsoft had, like over 10 years ago, Qualcomm has its own share of this type of uncertain, unfortunate scenario. Intel had its experience similarly a couple of years ago. And if you are really dedicated to this market, you need to show some action and prove that. I think this is a moment to test whether NVIDIA is really serious about what they said or not.
Following U.S.-China trade talks in Madrid, U.S. President Donald Trump says he's going to have a phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday to seal the deal on TikTok and perhaps a few other trade items as well. Do you think that this NVIDIA ruling could be ironed out during that phone call?
I don't think this phone call will resolve NVIDIA's antitrust issue or the Texas Instrument analog devices anti-dumping issue. I think the deal Xi and Trump is going to maybe announce by the end of this week, it's a very narrow one. It's TikTok approval in the exchange was something that's relatively small. I think the export control side of things are tougher. Those are national security related issues. Those are harder problems to tackle. I don't expect them to make meaningful progress within the next few days.
That was Xiaomeng Liu from Eurasia Group. Coming up after the break, Taiwan thanks the U.S. State Department for rejecting China's position on Taiwan's sovereignty. But China is condemning the remarks. Stay tuned.
From a small studio in Taiwan to a global community for undaunted voices. I'm just very grateful that they are able to spend time being part of Taiwan Talks and also being here with us today.
It's so refreshing that from a different country, from Taiwan, we are actually getting to see a show without noise, without yelling, and it's just complete facts and expert opinion.
Every single episode is about a Taiwan perspective.
Taiwanese speaking something from our heart.
Bringing forward all these different perspectives and voices to engage the world more seriously and continuously.
So the world will know that we are part of this globalized world.
British warship transited the international waters.
We're facing
without compromising our national
definitely a lot of potential for these countries.
How important do you think that is?
Rule of law based order.
It's been 3 years of almost every waking hour devoted to the show. Today, we have something, and that something is precious.
For more stories from Taiwan and Osaka, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan has thanked the U.S. after its de facto embassy reportedly backed a statement accusing China of distorting World War II-era documents to claim the country.
外交部要感谢并且欢迎美方对中国扭曲二战的相关文件言论进行的驳斥，特别是公开明确地重申美方对台湾的政策立场，驳斥中方虚假不实的论述，以及再次展现对台湾国际参与的坚定支持。
China uses World War II-era documents to argue that Taiwan was returned to China after the conflict. But the American Institute in Taiwan says none of these documents determine Taiwan's political status, a statement the U.S. State Department later affirmed. In response, Taiwan's opposition party, the Kuomintang, said the government of the Republic of China's claim to Taiwan is a historical fact. Taiwan's foreign ministry has also said that the ROC government is the only legitimate representative of Taiwan. But China is not backing down on its narrative. At a press conference, China's foreign ministry condemned the U.S.'s position.
美方有关机构的谬论、颠倒黑白、混淆视听，中方对此强烈不满，坚决反对。
Amid the controversy, Taiwan's foreign ministry urged the international community to continue challenging China's narratives. And the foreign ministry is also criticizing Beijing after reports that China's ambassador to Denmark attempted to expel Taiwan's representative from an event in the country.
外交部要强烈谴责中方人员这种试图打压我国与他国正常互动的粗暴、卑劣行径，而面对这种战狼外交的蛮横作风，不但是毫不尊重主办方，更无视出席国际活动所应该有的基本礼节。 并且完全背离国际社会的文明素养。
The diplomats were attending an event in February celebrating the Japanese emperor's birthday. Taiwan's representative to Denmark, Robin Zhen, told Taiwan's central news agency that when China's ambassador noticed he was there, he asked the host to remove him. When they refused, the ambassador left in anger. A new fact-checker report suggests AI images were used to sow misinformation during Taiwan's recent recall election. In a recent episode of Zoom In, Zoom Out, reporter Alec McDonald met key people behind the study, FactLink's founder Summer Chen and Director of Investigations Mary Ma.
So I want to jump right into this report. Can you talk about what you found during the recall campaigns relating to AI, generative AI, and misleading information?
Yes, in our recent reports, we just focused on a very new phenomenon, AI-generated mini clips. And why we called it mini clips? Because before, the traditional disinformation is relied on text or YouTube. It's more longer, but the mini clips now, it was very short, like just few seconds. And there is no text, no story, but it has a very strong emotion. It's trying to trigger our emotion, and it's spreading fast on reels and the shorts because the algorithm.
So in your report, one of the most important parts to me, one of the most alarming parts, is that you say this type of information warfare or information campaign is more dangerous for democracy than the disinformation that we largely saw over the previous 8 to 10 years. Can you go into why you made that statement?
Because I think people not just focus on is this AI or not. They just don't care about this is AI. They just know this is AI, but they want to like share this video because this video is like propaganda. And they have same like political editing, same political editing, so they just want to share these videos. And they think this is AI, but they don't care about it.
One of the other findings in this report was that a lot of these clips were made with Chinese AI tools. Can you go into the significance of that finding?
We found those mini clips has watermark, and the watermark turned to very important or strong clues for us to trace how do the actors produce those kind of mini clips. And we found most of those mini clips was produced by Chinese AI tools. And finally, they use another editing tools to editing them and spread them on social media. So we can see how those the actors use several tools to produce it. And that means those kind of footage was not human power anymore.
Can you attribute this to a Chinese information campaign against Taiwan during the recall elections?
What we can prove is those mini clips was produced by Chinese AI tools, but we can't make sure it was conducted by China.
That was Mary Ma and Summer Chen from FactLink. You can watch the full episode at TaiwanPlus.com or our YouTube channel. Further tension in the South China Sea, where China is accusing the Philippines of intruding at the disputed Scarborough Shoal. China's Coast Guard says more than 10 Philippine ships were spotted around the shoal on Tuesday. Beijing also claims one of its ships was rammed, prompting a response with water cannons. The incident comes a week after Beijing declared it would turn the shoal into a nature reserve, drawing strong opposition from the Philippines and Taiwan, who also claim ownership. The shoal lies within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, but has been under Chinese control since 2012. Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. You can visit the Taiwan Plus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, take a look at the World Black Pudding Throwing Championships in the UK. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.